Topping today's news, the country's traffic fatality for 2023 continues to rise. The holiday weekend sullied by violence. Prime Minister Philip Davis pushes back against claims of new taxes by the official opposition, and consumer protection gets new office spaces. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Jcn Saunders. This is your JCN Evening News. It's a pleasure to have you join us. A 34-year-old male of Andros lost his life in a traffic accident on Saturday evening. Police are now investigating that accident that occurred sometime around 9:30 p.m. on Queens Highway, San Andros. The male driver of a 650 motorcycle and a female driver of a 2015 Nissan March, they were traveling in opposite directions along the highway when the collision occurred. The male motorcyclist was seriously injured. A local medical doctor attended to him before he was flown to New Providence for further medical treatment. Unfortunately, on arrival to the Princess Margaret Hospital, he was pronounced deceased. A team of officers from the Royal Bahamas Police Force Traffic Division of New Providence traveled to Andros to assist with further investigations. In the meantime, police encouraging all motorcyclists to wear your protective helmets, especially when operating the motorcycles, to prevent traumatic head injuries that could possibly save your life. Meanwhile, in a statement released last week, the Minister of Transport, Jobeth Kobe Davis, says she is deeply concerned about the reported rise in traffic fatalities, which she described as a worrying trend. During the first 5 months of 2021, the number of traffic fatalities was just 13. In 2022, that number of traffic fatalities in the first 5 months rose to 19, and in 2023, the number of fatalities in the first 5 months has risen to a staggering 22. The Minister of Transport is urging members of the public to exercise extreme caution on the roadways. Do not speed, do not use your cell phones while driving, wear your seatbelts, and obey all traffic laws. Police detectives are left to investigate 2 separate killings over the holiday weekend, which brings the homicide count to 50 just 5 months into 2023. In the first incident that took place shortly after noon on Saturday, as a 28-year-old male was at the back of his residence on Cascarilla Street, Pinewood Gardens, when 3 men approached him from a nearby property and shot him multiple times. The man succumbed to his injuries in hospital the following day. In the second incident, as for the death of a 65-year-old male, police are aggressively searching for a group of males who assaulted the man sometime around 10 p.m. Police were summoned to a home in Malcolm Allotment East, where the man had sought refuge after being beaten. Emergency medical technicians transported the victim to hospital. However, he succumbed to his injuries sometime around 4 a.m. on Sunday. Meantime, a 53-year-old Chinese national, a businessman in the East Street community, was shot to the upper body on Sunday afternoon. Police say the assailant entered the man's business establishment just south of Wolf Road shortly after noon, purchased an item, and left. He returned shortly after, armed with a firearm, and shot indiscriminately into the store, which resulted in the businessman being shot. He was taken to hospital by ambulance, where he remains listed as serious but in stable condition. Police are seeking the public's assistance in locating the individuals responsible for these heinous acts. Anyone with information, you are asked to contact the Criminal Investigation Department, CID, or Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS. That's 328-8477. From the political front, the Prime Minister has misled on tax increases, so says the official opposition leader Michael Pintard. In a statement on Sunday, the FNM leader accused Prime Minister Philip Davis of misleading Parliament and the Bahamian people when he claimed that his 2023-2024 budget has no new taxes, when supporting bills clearly lay out brand new revenue measures and increases. Mr. Pintard specifically pointed to the Customs Management Act and the Immigration Act, which he claims seek to delegate taxation powers to the minister. However, Mr. Pintard contends that the power to impose and increase taxes, fees, and levies must be brought to the people's representatives for consideration. He also said that the Prime Minister's budget communication made no mention of a possible sugar tax or wellness tax, yet the government is proposing an amendment to the Customs Management Act that would delegate to the Minister of Finance the ability to levy the much-discussed sugar tax without seeking parliamentary approval. The opposition leader says if the PLP wants to implement a sugar tax, it must come to Parliament and get approval for the structure and for the rates. The government, he says, is also proposing the establishment of a special fund for immigration to defray a multitude of routine central government expenditures, referring to such as a slush fund. Mr. Pintard says the opposition is uncomfortable with it and will demand a full examination of the intent and controls to be established to supervise this fund. The opposition leader says the FNM will not support attempts by the Davis administration to sidestep Parliament's authority and oversight. There will be no new taxes. That much coming from Prime Minister Philip Davis, who spoke with reporters on the sideline of the opening of the Ministry of Economic Affairs, Consumer Affairs, and Consumer Protection Commission building this morning. Prime Minister Davis addressed the topic of a new sugar tax, as mentioned by Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Dowell. However, the Prime Minister says such a tax would not be introduced in the near future.
There will be no new taxes. Time, no. We are attempting to cause Bahamians to understand what sugar is to their health. We have put a framework in place to determine whether or not it will be done, but nothing is happening with that. It's not going to happen anytime soon.
Prime Minister Davis did note that his government is looking into a framework to introduce a tax on sugar. He says the aim is to encourage the decrease in sugar consumption in an effort to combat non-communicable diseases, particularly diabetes.
We are talking with the industry to see how they're able to lessen sugar in the ingredients of which for sodas, etc. And because the stats have shown that it is one of the significant contributors to the non-communicable diseases, something that this country is struggling with as I speak. And so know that is not going to be done this year. I don't see it coming very soon either.
He also stated that to hear the leader of the official opposition now make factually incorrect accusations against the government's budget is the worst kind of hypocrisy. Prime Minister Davis said his government is hopeful the quality of the budget debate will not be lowered by constantly correcting the facts for the opposition. The budget debate expected to begin in a couple days. This morning, the Minister of Economic Affairs, along with its minister responsible, Senator Michael Halkitis, and Prime Minister Philip Davis, officially opened the doors to the new home of Consumer Affairs and the Consumer Protection Commission building located on West Tonic-Williams-Darling Highway. Keynote Speaker Prime Minister Davis says the opening of the building is a part of the government's dedication to consumer protection, which is outlined in their blueprint for change.
To this end, we are enhancing the Consumer Protection Act. Amendments are coming, and they're about giving you, the consumers, a louder voice and stronger rights. For example, Bahamians living abroad can now lodge a complaint. The Consumer Commission will be empowered to alert you of harmful practices. Businesses will be required to be licensed and registered, and deceptive conduct, harassment, and coercive selling practices will be addressed more comprehensively. These and further steps will be taken to ensure a more organized framework, clearer definitions, and stronger protection for consumers.
The mission of the Consumer Protection Commission is to empower consumers and spread awareness about consumer rights and consumer protection as the country rebounds from the effects of massive global inflation. Senator Michael Halkitis says a heightened focus has been placed on consumer protection, especially those most vulnerable.
A strong consumer protection regime ensures that the rights of consumers are firstly known and secondly respected and adhered to by all local businesses. What we want is to ensure that buyers of goods and services are safeguarded against unfair practices in the marketplace. It is critical that the ecosystem of supply, demand, price, and profitability work for both businesses and consumers to achieve economic growth, inclusivity, and sustainable national development. There are also key areas such as pharmaceuticals and food where the government feels inclined to offer protection against inflated prices for the good of the nation. Price controls in the Bahamas do not stop a merchant from making a profit. They simply dictate how much of a profit can be made on a particular item.
The Consumer Affairs Unit is meant to ensure the proper enforcement of price and rent control acts in conjunction with their respective regulations. And finally, in this segment, 22 illegal foreign nationals were arrested and detained on Saturday after they were found on board a yacht in waters west of New Providence while en route to North America. Police say the discovery was made shortly after 4 p.m. Saturday afternoon. Giving more details on the matter is Police Press Liaison Officer Chief Superintendent Christlyn Skippings, who spoke with reporters on the scene at the Royal Bahamas Police Force Harbor Patrol headquarters.
Officers from the Royal Bahamas Police Force Marine Unit, acting on intelligence, intercepted a white 32-foot yacht in waters just west of New Providence. This vessel had a U.S. flag hoisted to it. On examination of the vessel, the officers discovered 22 foreign nationals, 13 males, 6 females, 2 kids, and 1 infant. The foreign nationals are from the Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Brazil, Haiti, and Italy. Our counterparts from the Bahamas Immigration Department are presently on scene. Those nationals have been handed over to them, and they will continue with the investigations from this particular point.
The immigrants were also in possession of a significant amount of cash. As investigations are still early, it is unknown where the vessel departed from. Now, this is less than 1 year since the failed human smuggling attempt that claimed the lives of 17 Haitian nationals. That said, police are making strong appeals to individuals who may be involved in these kinds of illegal human smuggling activities.
Send a strong message to those persons who seek to engage in human trafficking or human smuggling. Your Royal Bahamas Police Force, in collaboration with the Department of Immigration, we are going to remain firm. We are going to be relentless in our pursuit. And once we find out that you are engaging in human smuggling, human trafficking, we're going to place you before the courts, and you will rightly go what you rightly deserve. This Bahamas, we are going to keep safe. And we are going to do exactly what it takes to keep it safe for all those who live, visit, and reside in this particular country.
Social services were contacted to assist where need be. Officers ensure that minors and infants remained with their parents. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.